Right. Well, good morning, I guess, for most of you. I think most of you are in Europe, or good afternoon if ever you are on this side of the world where I am, which is in Asia. And of course, to everyone who will be tuning into the recording after this. I think we had about 19 signups for this, so I guess a few people will be catching up on it. So this is the third one, right, Veronique? I think we started in January. We've been keeping up with it. We've been offering like every month, one sort of 45-minute long webinar exploring sort of different aspects of breath work. We've been listening to some of the feedback given as well, so we're sort of incorporating that in the sessions as we're moving forward. So we're going to keep it very experiential, light touch of just a bit of theory and learning on the science, just enough to keep you sort of understanding what's actually going on, and then some takeaways by the end of the session. And we'll keep some time at the end. We haven't been very good at it so far, but keep some time for Q&A at the end of the session. So I run these sessions with Veronique. I'm based in Asia. Veronique is based in Portugal. So this is quite international. And as you would know, Breath at Work, which is the sort of the brand we've set up together, the aim is to bring breathwork into the corporate world. But I think more widely, we're just passionate about bringing breathwork out into society. And so we decided to do these sessions to just spread this knowledge because it just feels right. We feel that more people should know this. This is our human right to know that we can breathe our way through difficulty and all these things that breathwork allows us to do. So that's why we're offering these webinars, and we hopefully we'll offer one every month this year. So we'll have a collection of 12. And today, the topic we've decided, the focus of today's session is on the breathing channel. So we wanted to get you to experience the difference between nasal breathing, mouth breathing, why one, why the other, how do you do one well or the other one well. So we're going to be exploring that topic, and again, through your own experience. Veronique, do you want to add anything at this point?
No, welcome everyone. And just wanted to add maybe that there are loads of knowledge being gathered now, lots of research about breath work, and it's a field that is fascinating, but it's also expanding all the time. So we cannot possibly share everything in these little 45 minutes webinars, but we want to give you, just as Celine said, just a little bit to give you enough information so that you can yourself start your own practice, and you can share as well with your family, with your friends, with your colleagues. And then if you are interested in doing more training, then you can join us for more formal trainings as well.
Yeah.
But let's get started with the nose and mouth.
Yeah. So we're going to start off with immediately a practice, and we're going to do some breath awareness. So those of you who do a lot of breath work or have done breath work with Veronique or anybody else, you probably know how much we say that becoming aware of our own breath is the starting point of everything. So I'll guide you through a breath awareness, one in which we're going to focus on the differences between nasal breathing and mouth breathing. So let's set ourselves up. We're going to be breathing in this way for, probably 6, 7, 8 minutes, all in all. And then I will sort of linger in that. And then when you come back, I'll invite you to share what you've noticed. Yeah. So all you need to do is just sit back in the chair. If you want to put your camera off because you like to sit cross-legged on the floor, or you want to lie down, everything is fine. So just get comfortable and just let my voice guide you through this breath awareness. And we're going to begin because I don't know what's happened just before this. Maybe you've just been running, maybe you've been doing a million other things, maybe you just rolled out of bed. So let's just start by really arriving in this very moment. And arriving, more importantly, into our bodies, right? It's not just arriving in the moment, it's also arriving in this physical body that we have and into our breath. So if you feel comfortable and if it feels safe, you can close your eyes, or if you just like, you can just soften your gaze, maybe take your eyes off the screen and just let it settle inwards. And take a moment to feel your physical body supported by the surface that's underneath you. That might be the chair, the floor, the mattress, the couch. Just feel that surface supporting your body. And notice the weight of your body. And that contact between you and the chair or the floor? And can you let that gravity hold you? There's nothing to do, nowhere to go right now. Just be. And I'm going to invite you to take a slow, steady breath in through your nose, and then a long releasing breath through your mouth. Can sound a little bit like a sigh. And then another one, just a long, slow, steady breath in through your nose. And then a long releasing breath through your mouth. And as you release on the exhale, just let your shoulders drop. See if you can just unlock or release your jaw if it feels a bit tight, a bit gripped. And let your forehead and your entire face soften. And again, a slow, spacious inhale. And a long, gentle exhale. Just let the breath start to anchor you in the present moment. And we're now going to bring our attention to our natural breath. So we're not going to control it for a few minutes. I want you to just observe your own breath, just as it is, not trying to change it. Just notice. See if you can find it inside you. And to help you, maybe you can try and sense, where do you feel your breath more clearly in your body? Where do you feel it moving? Is it in your nose? Is it in your chest? Is it in your belly? So just where do you feel and sense your breath? Just your natural breath here, and there's nothing to change. And then what's the rhythm like of your breath? Is it a breath that is long, or is it a short breath? And would you say it's a deep breath or a shallow breath? And notice as you're following the breath, the in and the out, is it smooth? Is the movement smooth, or is it a little bit choppy? A bit constricted maybe in some parts? Just notice how your body breathes when you're not doing anything at all to control it. Let yourself feel it from the inside. Just noticing the breath as sensation, not just as an idea, but really the sensations, the physical sensations of the breath. And if your mind wanders off, that's absolutely normal. Just bring it back whenever you hear me or you connect to my voice again, just bring it back to the sensation of breathing without any judgment. To just connect to your natural breath. Now I'm going to invite you to begin to notice the breath as it's entering and leaving your body. So notice whether you're breathing in and out through your nose or through your mouth, even very slightly, or maybe you're doing a little bit of both. Maybe the air is moving in and out through both of them, or it's going in one way and it's going out the other way. So just notice, what does your natural breath tend to do? And which channel do you tend to use? Just notice how it feels. And now gently, I'm going to invite you, if you're not already doing it, we're going to slowly begin to breathe through your nose. So if you have been using your mouth, if you can just close off that mouth and just breathe in and out through your nose. Inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. Inhaling through the nose, just at the pace that's the natural pace for you. That is just the natural breath. There's no need to deepen it or to control it. You just follow the breath. In and out through the nose. And then I'm going to invite you to begin to notice what happens when you're breathing in and out through your nose. So just notice which parts of your body are responding to the inhale And what I mean by what responds, I mean what actually moves inside your body when you're breathing in and out through the nose. What parts of you lift up, expand, and soften on the inhale, and which parts of you lift up, expand, or contract on the exhale. And if it helps, you can always put a hand on your chest and a hand on your belly to feel that more clearly. So when you breathe in and out through your nose only, at your natural pace, which part of you is moving? And where does the breath seem to travel? So is it reaching your belly? Or does it seem to be mainly in your ribs, in your lower ribs or your upper ribs? Or are you sensing it in the collarbone? So where is it happening? And then just notice how long is each inhale? And how long is each exhale? Is one longer than the other? And just notice. And just let yourself explore this nasal breathing with curiosity. Gently with your attention. Once you think you've got a good grasp and a good understanding of that nasal breathing, we're going to gently shift to mouth breathing. So what we're going to do is we're going to gently open our mouths and we're going to start inhaling and exhaling through our mouths only in a very relaxed and natural way. Again, we're not trying to control the breath. We're not breathing at a particular pace. So just open the mouths, let the air flow in, let the air flow out. And notice now, where does the breath go now? Is it still in the same part of the body? Or do you feel a difference actually now that you're mouth breathing? Do you notice that a different part of you lifts up and drops in or contracts? Is it happening in the upper body or in the lower body? And what parts of you now are moving or not moving as you breathe through your mouth? Again, you might notice the location of your breath. You can also get curious about the depths of the breath here when you're breathing through the mouth. Does it feel full or shallow? And again, you can pay attention to the length of the inhales and the length of the exhales. Do they feel just as long as before when you were doing nasal breathing? Do they feel slightly shorter, slightly longer than before? And just what else are you noticing as you're breathing through your mouth? And now for a little playtime, what we're going to do is we're going to move gently back and forth between the two breathing channels just to see if we can really sense any difference. So we're going to go again back to nasal breathing. I'm going to invite you to take a few slow breaths through your nose. Just notice how that feels. Notice all the sensations around that. Let's quietly go for some nasal breathing. And now you can switch to mouth breathing. So open your mouth and just mouth breathe. Continue mouth breathing for a little bit. And if you like, you can go back again to some nasal breathing. Maybe you can do maybe 6, 7 breaths nasal breathing. Notice which part of you is moving. Notice the lengths of your inhales and exhales. Notice the depths of your breath. And then once more, move back to mouth breathing. So open the mouth, stop breathing through the nose. And now just let your breath return to normal. So just do whatever feels the most natural for you, if that's nasal breathing or mouth breathing or both. Just let your breath go back to whatever it wants to do. And just take a moment to feel your body again. Notice the breath now. Just notice your energy. Just notice how you're feeling beyond just your breath. Just how is your body and your mind feeling right now? Then gently, you might even take a deep breath in through your nose. Exhale with a sigh, open your mouth. Let's do two more like this. Inhale deeply. Exhale through your mouth with a sigh. And one last one. And exhale through your mouth, letting everything go. And then slowly bring back your attention into the space around you. When you feel ready, you can put your camera back on, your eyes, open your eyes. Let us come back into this present moment. Did anyone notice anything that was different when you were breathing through your nose versus breathing through your mouth? And if so, what did you notice? Solange?
Like, yeah, I noticed something very different, very significant. When I was breathing through the nose, it was going deep down. It was deeper, and it was going deep down until my belly, and through the mouth, and it's my natural way of breathing, which I don't know if it is good or not, but it's very comfortable for me. And through the mouth, which is very uncomfortable for me, very unnatural. It was very shallow, and it was just like stopping until the chest maximum. Sometimes I even felt it here, just very shallow and very uncomfortable. So that's the main difference, for me.
Thank you, Solange. Sasha, did you notice something? Yes. And then
I didn't. I actually stopped breathing through my mouth. It felt very stressful. I mean, it didn't make me stressed. It brought me back to a place of stress. And I think I probably breathe through my mouth when I'm stressed, like that. So it put it just physically felt very uncomfortable and emotionally, actually. So I went back to nose breathing.
And Florence, I think you were going to jump in and say something.
For me as well, it's super uncomfortable to breathe through the mouth, like really uncomfortable, especially inhaling, because I use a lot of deep exhales like through the mouth. That's the only thing that I found comfortable. But if not, it's really, very uncomfortable, very shallow. And I go still deep in my belly on both, but that's because I use a lot of breathwork already. And even when I scuba dive, you only use the mouth. So I can do it, but it's so comfortable, and it almost I relate to what you were saying, Sasha, a kind of stress, because you're like, because I don't breathe naturally this way. It's like I can't take it's probably my brain telling me, no, you're not getting as much air as you should, or it's just like there's something unnatural about it.
Veronique.
No, Christina, I think wanted to say something.
Sorry.
Yeah. I just wanted to echo what the other one said. I had the same experience, and really, particularly with the breathing in through your mouth, I felt almost like my chest couldn't really move. Although in some ways you feel like, well, the air is going in through, in some ways, the same channels, but with the nose breathing, I feel like it can expand, and the breath lives inside me and expands sort of in the chest and into the tummy. Whereas with the mouth breathing, it just didn't happen. And I feel the same like the others. Then you almost feel it's not relaxing. You feel short of breath, although you know the air is going in. So it was very interesting.
Right. So actually, this is an experiment that James Nestor did. I don't know if you've come across the book Breath by James Nestor, but we highly recommend it because it's a fantastic book. And from the start, he does an experiment with another guy called Anders Olsen, and they decide to try and breathe through the mouth for 10 full days. So they have silicones in the nose and tapes, and they can only breathe through the mouth for 10 days. And then they do the opposite. They only breathe through the nose. And this is obviously done under medical supervision and so on. But what they found out echoes what you say. So they didn't feel comfortable at all mouth breathing. The test showed that their blood pressure increased. They started to snore a lot, although they were not snoring beforehand, but mouth breathing equals snoring more. Their sleep became worse. They felt tired and kind of not clear, like foggy-headed. And also, they did some tests on on cycling, and their athletic performance dropped when they were mouth breathing. When they breathed through the nose, the other way around, the snoring nearly stopped. Their sleep improved, the blood pressure went down, so everything felt much better, more energy, more clear-headed as well. And for me, I think there are three reasons why nose breathing is better. First, because it activates the diaphragm. We saw last webinar that breathing with, using the diaphragm properly is essential. And when you breathe through the nose, it automatically goes, hand in hand with diaphragmatic breath. Because when you breathe through the nose, you breathe more slowly. When you breathe through the mouth, you breathe faster. And you don't have time, as you said, to breathe deep. You can do diaphragmatic breath with the mouth breathing, but it's not as natural as with nose breathing. So it really goes hand in hand with diaphragmatic breath. Second part is the nose is meant for breathing and smelling, but it's the architecture of the nose is quite fascinating, if you like noses. But the way we breathe through the nose is it's like a tiny air conditioning unit. Yeah, you've got all these tiny hairs, not the hairs that you can see, but tiny, tiny ones called the cilia. And the cilia spend their time just pushing away stuff that shouldn't come through the nose, like the dust, everything, the mosquitoes, particles that you don't want to have in. So these little hairs, their job is really to push away dirt, germs, and so on, so that they don't come into the lungs. And then inside the nose, we've got little structures. They are like circles like this. They are called turbinates. They are bumpy, twisting structures. And their job is to slow down the air. So the air can be warmed up, can be humidified, so that when it comes into the delicate lungs, it is less aggressive than the air that we breathe in through the mouth. Also, the nose, when we breathe through the nose produces mucus, like the snot, basically, that traps things that we don't want to have into the lungs, the bacteria, the viruses, the dirt, everything. So basically, when the air comes through the nose, it is purified, it is sterilized, it is everything compared with mouth breathing. And again, I'm going to quote two passages from James Nestor's book, because the first one, I was astonished. Why does it matter? I mean, okay, it's important, but one figure that it gives is quite incredible. In a single breath, just one breath, in, out, there are more molecules of air passing through the nose than all the grains of sand on all the world's beaches, trillions and trillions of them. So imagine trillions and trillions of molecules of air each time you breathe in and out. It does matter, you know, the quality of this. And another passage that I really love, it's from Native Americans in North America. They all really insist that we need to breathe through the nose. All the different Native American tribes in North America all swear by nose breathing. And they have this little illustration where I find is quite clear. And the air that enters through the lungs with nasal breathing is as different to the air that enters through the mouth as distilled water is from the water in an ordinary cistern or a frog pond. And for me, this image was like, right, distilled water or pond water, that's the same, the air coming through the nose or the air coming through the mouth. So the air, the nose is meant for breathing. Yeah, it doesn't mean that we can't breathe through the mouth. When we do some specific exercise, we breathe through the mouth. It's not going to kill us. Yeah. Or if you are a runner, or if you are into above ground physical activity, if you push hard at one stage, you probably are going to breathe through the mouth, and that is fine. But ideally, through most of the day, when we are relaxed, and through the night, we should breathe through the nose. And the third, so I mentioned the nose breathing is linked to diaphragmatic breath. The nose is meant for breathing. And the third key part is that when we breathe through the nose, we release this superpower nitric oxide. It's a gas, nitric oxide, that has come to be everywhere at the moment. Everybody talks about nitric oxide because it's so powerful. Nitric oxide improves the blood circulation. It has a really positive effect on cognition. It supports the immune system. It boosts athletic performance as well. It enhances sexual function. It's in Viagra, for instance, they use nitric oxide. And it's also good for the skin. Apparently it promotes collagen formation. So there are loads of wonderful benefits of producing nitric oxide. And you actually now can also get supplements. But when you breathe through the nose, you naturally produce nitric oxide. Yeah. So there are loads of benefits. One thing, so I've got a table just to sum up all these points. You can see it. So nose breathing activates the diaphragm, so it encourages deeper, calmer breathing. It filters the air with these little nose hairs and the mucus. It humidifies and warms the air, releases nitric oxide, and it boosts the brain. So that is nose breathing. Mouth breathing, on the other hand, maybe you noticed already when you did some mouth breathing, it dries the mouth. Yeah. This can lead to bad breath. And also there is a link with cavities. It's not as efficient to deliver oxygen to the rest, to the cells in the body. And someone mentioned feeling anxious. I think, Sasha, you mentioned that you feel anxious because it triggers the fight or flight response. Yeah. So when we are anxious, we breathe faster through the mouth, and it affects sleep as well as the posture. Yeah, and that's the posture we're going to have a look at it now, because that's something that is less known, but is very interesting, especially if you've got young children, is the impact of nose or mouth breathing on the facial traits. Yeah. Just for yourself, just check when you breathe through the nose, where is your tongue in your mouth? Yeah. And now breathe through the mouth. Where's your tongue?
Yeah.
Yeah. The tongue, when you breathe through the nose, the tongue can rest on the palate, right? When you breathe through the mouth, it cannot, unless you've got a maybe in Chitali breath, but the tongue is down. And this matters a lot for the way a baby will develop, or the face, yeah. The tongue, when the tongue is high or resting on the palate, it keeps the palate kind of flat, yeah? Which means there is space for all the teeth to develop. And when you breathe through the mouth, one way you can see if you're a nose or mouth breather is look at your mouth. Mouth breather will tend to have a palate that is shaped like a dome. Yeah. One thing you can do, but you have to be in front of a mirror, is push your tongue against your palate and then open your mouth and look if you see the marks of your teeth on the side. If you do, it means that your palate is like this. It means that you are likely to be a mouth breather. Yeah. And this is very important. That's why you see in this illustration, sorry, it's a little bit blurred, but if you breathe through the nose, you tend to have straight teeth, a wider face because the palate is flat, so the jaws are a little bit wider. Good straight nose, good average or airway size, and well-developed jaw. And mouth breathers tend to have more crooked teeth because there's no space for the teeth. Narrow face, again, because of the shape of the palate. Crooked nose, setback jaw, smaller airway. So it all is linked together. Just trying to stop the... I cannot find how to study. The button was disappearing. So it really is especially important for babies or young children. Yeah. Obviously, I think I've got the profile of a mouth breather quite clearly, but I think now it's too late to change it naturally. I can breathe as much as I want through the nose. I don't think it's going to change now, but it does matter. And also one thing that that you can experience yourself is now breathe through the nose and notice the resistance that you encounter when you breathe through the nose. and breathe through the mouth. There's no resistance when you breathe through the mouth. That's why you tend to breathe faster as well. There's no resistance. If you breathe through the nose, there's the resistance of all the turbinates and so on, all the narrow passageway. But this tonifies the back of the throat. That's why if you breathe through the nose, you are less likely to snore. If you breathe through the mouth, there is no toning of the back of the throat, and then snoring happens. So nose breathing has all these benefits. Mouth breathing doesn't have as many, but as I said, it's okay to breathe through the mouth from time to time. I'm preparing for a marathon right now, and I'm telling you, I'm going to breathe through the mouth for most of it because, I try to train to breathe through the nose, but it's really challenging to do it when you exercise. But it's okay, but as much as possible, try to breathe through the nose. Yeah. Celine, did you want to add something?
I think Solange wants to ask a question. Then we'll see.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you so much. One question is, when you breathe through the mouth during the day, are you likely to breathe through the mouth during the night and then snore, vice versa? Or how does that work?
I think there's a tendency, but it depends. You need to notice when you breathe through the mouth during the day. Is it just the moments when you are stressed? Or is it a natural pattern throughout the day? Yeah. Go ahead, Celine.
Yeah, I see. That it's just sorry, just to finish that, just for people who snore, that could be a solution. Because if you force yourself during the day while being conscious, to breathe through the nose, maybe it can, solve the snoring issue.
So we're going to say a note about that, and I'm probably going to jump in, and then maybe we can close off with a little practice to finish off, kind of a short one. But just so one thing's interesting is often I think we could assume that someone that's mouth breathing during the day, likely they're mouth breathing at night. I mean, that way would be often. I think where we are often we don't know is that I think many of us think we're nose breathers, but when we're at, and we are at day, but we are mouth breathers at night, or occasional. And James Nestor has found that 30 to 50% of the population is an occasional mouth breather. 30 to 50%. So 1 out of 2 of us is doing it. And I'll put my hand up to say I didn't think I was a mouth breather. You wouldn't see me with my mouth open. I don't have that physique with a jaw backwards. Now I did get orthodontics when I was younger, so maybe that got fixed. But what I discovered, and we're going to come to that in a second, is that I started having my mouth closed at night. We're going to talk about mouth taping in a second, and that shifted my quality of my sleep, which got me thinking, I think I have been mouth breathing at night. So to the question to Solange, what you're asking is that someone should do that. Yes. There's a bit of a trend out there, but many people are loving it. I'm one of them who mouth tape at night. So there are many different mouth tapes. I think, Veronique, you've got one, I've got one. So this is one of them, which is like a sort of X sign mouth tape. As you can see, this woman has a little tape. It's not strong. It's not, by the way, no duct taping, right? No black tape on your mouth at night. That's very dangerous, and I wouldn't recommend that. There's all different types of mouth tape now. But even some sort of like that kind of, that kind of thing you use for bandage. It's just across your mouth.
That's what I use. I don't have it with me.
Yeah, you don't
but
buy
I
the
just
fancy
take
ones. Yeah.
a little tape, like the light medical tape, and I just put it here, like this. And it's not just during the night. You can also do it during the day.
And you can do it during the day. So for people who are chronic mouth breathers, meaning they breathe all the time, the recommendation is that they start mouth taping during the day. Like when they're doing something where they don't need to be on calls, like just mouth tape, just to kind of get the nose. Because a lot of these people say to you, they've got sinusite, they can't breathe through the nose. Now, the thing is that the nose gets lazy and it gets clogged up and it doesn't work properly. So some people say, it's my nose, I can't do it. Well, yes, and it's a chicken and egg thing. Maybe because you've been breathing for so long through your mouth, your nose has lost the habit. So the recommendation is that people actually mouth tape so that they can retrain their nose to work before they even do it at nighttime. Now, if you're like us and you're breathing through your nose at night during the day, and you're like, well, I'll try this at nighttime, just make sure you get one of these tapes that's just safe so that you can still breathe through the side if you had to. I've discovered for myself that my sleep quality, I'm a very good sleeper, by the way. I don't have trouble sleeping, but the quality of my sleep, the depth of my sleep has changed. And what told me that is I started dreaming, or at least remembering my dreams, which I have never been able to do. But now I wake up and I'm like, I've just been dreaming, and I can have a recollection of my dreams. So it definitely is doing something to my REM sleep, which, by the way, is my emotional processing. And so I swear by it. I honestly swear by it. If I don't have my mouth tape, and I've been doing it now for maybe over a year. And interesting enough, I'll say as a mom, Tristan, my youngest one, who's probably the most dysregulated of my two kids, he's got strong emotions, swings by. I noticed about 2 years ago that he was mouth breathing at night. He has a jaw that just opens up. And so I started mouth taping him actually before I did it. And he was the one who started saying to me, Mom, I had good dreams. And I thought, that's really bizarre. How would that change your dreams? And so I don't do it all the time for him. But I do have there are some studies out there that do even link mouth breathing to ADHD and other neurodivergence. There's studies coming out on that. I think we're going to see more and more of that. Which one creates what, we don't know, right? What's the link? But there seems to be a correlation between mood regulation, emotional regulation, and mouth breathing. And that would explain it. I mean, look, we just did it for a few minutes and we were feeling quite panicked. So imagine a child mouth breathing through the whole night, or when they're watching TV or on their games or in school. So yeah.
Celine, can I just ask a question, please? I mean, in some ways you feel like, well, why would we be designed that way? Because ideally we shouldn't need that. Yeah. So I'm always in favor of that the body can do the good job itself. We don't need to interfere with anything like taping it. Years and years and years, millions of years ago when we evolved, we shouldn't have needed that. So why did this happen? I mean, is this a genetic problem or dysfunction, or because of our lifestyles? I'm just wondering where the origin is of this mouth breathing, that somehow that took over to a significant degree.
That's a really good question. By the way, I think in James Nestor's book, if you read it or you watch some videos he's got on YouTube, he's got lots on that topic. He explains that actually. He says it's linked to lifestyle partly. There's some explanation saying that the fact our food became mushier. We used to have to bite raw meat. We used to have to chew our food for hours. So he said we had stronger jaws. He said, and this is very interesting in the studies he's found, is that we had no cavities. They found no sign of cavities. Our jaws were perfect when we were sort of at the stage of prehistoric men. All the skeletons they found, or the skulls they found, are perfect. There is no orthodontic needs. When people didn't brush their teeth, people didn't have anything of this kind. So he puts out there that the probably something with the food we're eating, that everything's so processed and mushed that now we don't chew anymore. So the strength of the jaw, posture, the fact we're sort of crushing down on our diaphragms, the fact that we're stressed, so we're breathing. I mean, there's so many factors. Pollution might be playing a role here.
We're moving less.
We're exercising. I mean, there could be a million reasons. I don't think we're going to find one reason, but he does outline quite a lot of them in the book, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I've read the book as well, and but this is all what you're quoting here is relatively recent developments, and I'm not quite sure when this all started. And I work, just as a side note, I work for a medical charity where we see a lot of international protection applicants, right, in medicine. I'm just quoting you what you just said. And so there are a lot of people from the African continent coming. And it's interesting when you and a lot of them tend to be young men, and so they're overall maybe healthy. And when they open their mouths, it's quite eye-striking how big, when you want to look at their throat for something, how big their mouth is and how easily you can see compared to a white person. However, they often also actually do come with issues like with a blocked nose or some trouble. So therefore, my question actually goes a little bit further than just saying, okay, it's just a link to our lifestyle, because that's in some ways an easy solution. But I just wonder why it would develop that way anyway, because this must be also a longer development, not over one generation or two, you know?
Yeah, and also, you know, there is some link to the shape of your nose based on where you come from and the climate. And so someone born in a warm climate will have a different nose architecture, where the aim is not to warm up the air. So where we actually want to have less air coming in. So we might have smaller nostril or shorter nose. This nose is not really well suited to the a wet, cold climate.
Yeah.
You know, so all these factors are also, you know, playing a role. So it's a huge.
Yeah, it's a huge topic, I think.
huge
And
topic.
I'm not sure that we have all, but Christine, I don't think we have all the answers. I think
No.
the research is just getting interested in it. So I think all of that is going to go deeper. James Nestor did an incredible job of
Yeah.
getting a lot of that research and putting it together in his book. He's probably the only one who's done that so far, and in that depth. And yeah, and I think, again, it's one book out there. A lot of other books are all about just breathing techniques, but I think we're going to likely see more on that. But it's an interesting topic of why we've moved in that direction.
Yeah.
Sasha, yes, good.
Sorry, just super anecdotal.
Yeah.
I worked for a little while with an osteopath's practice,
Mm.
and a lot of what you were saying about jaw development in children, all of that, and nose breathing was echoed in terms of what they taught, what they studied, what they shared with their clients. So I was just sort of thinking that perhaps if one's interested, going to some osteopathic research or speaking to someone from that discipline might be able to shed some light too.
That's, I'm sure. And thank you, because I bet there are many people that have observed similar things that it just hasn't been documented in one place. Yeah, thanks. That's really, really fascinating. Veronique, what should we do? Because we could do a final sort of practice, but I'm not too sure. I know we had sort of 20 connected breath, but I'm not sure that's the one we do now. What do you think?
I would do more like maybe just a gentle breath, as nasal breathing to finish for a couple of minutes.
So shall we do maybe maybe we'll just do a coherent breath, a balanced breath would be nice.
It's always great
Yeah.
at the start of the day.
So we'll do a balanced breath, which means we will balance out our inhales and our exhales, and we're also going to try and connect them together so that we're really just breathing in a beautiful circular fashion. Now, the counts, if you like counting for yourself, it can be inhale for 5, out for 5. But I'm going to leave that to you, because it's not about the counts. It's about the balancing, the inhales and exhales and the connection. So if 5 feels like a little bit too much of a stretch, then go down to 4, 4. Or if you want to up the game, you can go up to 6, 6, if you like. Okay. Maybe let's just start together with a deep inhale and a beautiful sigh, and then we'll get started together, and then we'll all breathe at our own cadence. So let's inhale together through our nose, deeply letting all this air come through our nostrils, and then exhale it through the mouth. Let's just do another one of these. Inhale deeply into your nose, feeling that breath go deep inside you, and then just release it through your mouth. And let's start doing nasal breathing. And let's inhale in. And when we get to the top of the inhale, let's immediately exhale through the nose again. And when you get to the bottom of the exhale, breathe in again through the nose. And then out through your nose. And I invite you to balance out the inhales and the exhales. So if one feels longer than the other, just decide which one you need to shorten or which one you need to lengthen. And if it helps, again, you can count in your head up to 4 or up to 5 or maybe even up to 6. And then make sure that your exhale is just as long. Make sure that you're breathing deep into your diaphragm, that you're not using your shoulders, that you're not clenching in your jaw as you're breathing in. And again, just imagine a beautiful circle of breath. Beautiful balanced circle. Every inhale is as long as the exhale. And every exhale is as long as the inhale. And just put all your awareness on that breathing pattern. You don't need to notice anything else. You don't need to think about it. You don't need to analyze it. Just follow the breathing pattern. In through your nose, out through your nose. Making sure you're not pausing or holding at the top of your inhale or at the bottom of your exhale. And we do this for another minute. Finding the pace, finding the length that works for you. If you feel a bit adventurous, you might even push it up a count to see how it feels when you push it up a count. And if it doesn't feel comfortable, you feel even that starts stressing you out, then just come back down a count. Just making sure the circle is complete. Another 20 seconds, maybe another 3 or 4 breaths. And at the bottom of the next breath, next exhale, just release the pattern. Don't rush to open your eyes. Just release the pattern first. Keep your gaze soft or your eyes closed. Just let your breath return to its natural rhythm. And as always, notice where just this few minutes of balanced breathing, coherent breathing, notice where it takes you. Notice whether you feel a harmony inside of you. Notice if you're feeling a sense of balance. Or anything else. Few minutes of nasal breathing, balanced, can actually bring all our systems in balance and in coherence. When you feel ready, you can just gently open your eyes again. Come back into the space.
Thank you, Celine. It was really nice to finish the webinar with this. Thank you.
We will send to all of you the recording. We will send everything that we've mentioned, the book, the links to the book. We'll send you some examples of mouse tip if you like. We'll even, actually in that email, we'll also tag that example of a sports person, the famous tennis player that last year actually taped her mouth during one of the very big competitions. That caused a lot of the media were very interested in that because she said she was taping her mouth to play better, to have better oxygenation. So we'll link that article to that if you're interested. If you've got any questions, please always reach out to us by email or, if you know us personally, then reach out to us. And we'll also add in the email the fact that, so Veronique is running a Breathwork Foundations course in Portugal next month, a 3-day one where you're just going to go into all the details of a lot of things we cover, but in much more detail and much more experience. And then I'm running another one in Bangkok in November. And we're running them in conjunction with Breathwork Africa, which was our breathwork school that we learned everything and we continue to learn everything from. So we're attached to that.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yes, it was very good.
Thank you very much.
And we're looking forward to the next one next month. We'll talk about the date and so many topics to choose from.
Exactly. Have a lovely weekend, everyone. And a lovely rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks
Bye.
very much. Bye.
Bye. Bye.